Well, as you probably know, staff get all sorts of add-ons like holiday pay and superannuation. Also, there are additional costs when you have staff, like accident compensation insurance, clothing allowances, and recruitment fees. Have you ever wondered how to calculate the real cost of your staff as an hourly rate so you can apply it? Well, you've come to the right place. Hi, Lester the Cost Engineer here. In the first lesson I was talking about the bill of quantities, and one of the components of arriving at a good bill of quantities is knowing what your labour costs are. And as you can see in this illustration here, I have Alan at $44 an hour and Brian down here at $40.27 an hour. To arrive at these hourly rates, you need to think about the different components that go in to make it. So let's have a look at that now so that you understand how that comes together to make these hourly rates. The first thing we want to consider is, what does the employee cost me? A contractor calculation will be different to that of an employee, because a contractor really takes care of a lot of their own affairs and we don't have to calculate the costs as closely. So I'm going to avoid that for now, and we'll just move on and we'll consider what we've got to look at and calculate for wage and salary earners. So as part of working out what a wage and salary earner is entitled to, we also want to consider whether that wage or salary earner is a productive member of staff, in other words, we make money out of it, or a non-productive and administrative part of our staff, because that will change how we classify and calculate some of the overlaying costs. More on that topic later. We also have to take into account that most of our staff are on hourly rate contracts, so in their contract it says they earn so much per hour as their base salary. And if you look at it as an annualized calculation, or a quarterly or a monthly or weekly calculation, things may vary a bit. We normally calculate part of it as annually, part of it is quarterly, part of it is monthly, and part of it is weekly. And there's a wee bit of a problem in trying to work it back, because what I've seen is some people use mathematics that just don't work. In other words, use bad maths. And a simple illustration of bad maths is this: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 plus 5 is 11. Bad math. To avoid bad maths, the process you should follow is this. So the first thing we want to do is establish the costs. So if we look at the wages, which are paid hourly, and then we add in the likely overtime for the year as well, and on top of that we add in superannuation if it's there, say KiwiSaver, and on top of that if we add in ACC. Now this takes a wee bit of working out and can be a bit more convoluted. But essentially you go to the ACC website and you look up levies, and what you're going to find in those levies is some guides and books that give you information, and one of the primary ones is this ACC Levy guidebook. There are two parts to the levies. One is the earner's levy, which is $1.39 per $100 earned at the moment. So that's the first part, and overlaid with that in the levy handbook, if you go down through the handbook to the guide, if you go down through the guidebook, you'll find the work levies, and the work levies relate to the industries that you might be in. So as you can see here, if I click on construction, it takes me to the work levies, and what you can see here is, say, the building or residential building levies, and those work levies there are sitting at $1.84 flat. But if you look at the self-earning or whatever rates, these other ones here, they're sitting around $2, say. By taking the earner levy and the work levy here and adding them together, you get an idea of what you'll have to be paying in ACC for that employee, and then you need to divide it back through the hours. More on that later. If you think this is already sounding too complicated, don't worry. When we get through possibly to the next video, I'll show you a much simpler method to work it out, so it'll be easier for you. So moving on, once we've got the ACC costs, we need to also consider allowances. So allowances include things like protective clothing, and then on top of that we've got to also consider benefits. So benefits would be, do you supply them a vehicle, do you supply them a phone, and also is there fringe benefit tax on top of those benefits. After benefits there may be a raft of other minor ones, and one of the ones you really need to take note of is recruitment costs. Now that we've dealt with the costs, the next thing we need to consider is time and availability. I'm going to move on to another video that covers another part that you need to consider before you do the final calculation. If you want to know more, here are all the buttons and resources that you need. Just use these links to go places. Don't forget to share this video with friends who you think might need this video.